Captain Drew Parker stood on the high platform of the Irkalla Grand Hall, a place so huge it felt like a world of its own. The ceiling rose hundreds of meters above him, glowing with gentle blue lights that floated like stars. Thousands of alien eyes watched him from every direction. Some shimmered with respect, others burned with suspicion. Many simply could not believe a human stood here as a hero. Drew felt all of it, but he stayed calm. He had fought in worse places, under darker skies, against enemies far more deadly than curious eyes. He kept his back straight and his face steady, showing no fear. Humans did not bow easily, and he was not about to start now. Moments ago, he had saved the Irkalla world, saved it from burning, from falling, from becoming dust in open space. A rogue AI weapon, built long ago by an unknown race, had awakened. Deep underground. It was huge, cold, and hungry for destruction. When the Irkalla military failed to stop it, Drew went in alone, carrying nothing but a pulse rifle, a few EMP grenades, and the stubborn courage humans were famous for. He fought the machine from inside its metallic heart. He crawled through vents, dodged laser webs, and ran across burning platforms. He planted explosives faster than the countdown screamed at him. And in the final moment, he jumped into a shielded shaft as the entire machine collapsed in on itself. He barely survived. Most Irkalla thought he would not. Now he stood before their highest rulers because he had done the impossible. The Irkalla Council, a row of tall, glowing figures sat on their raised thrones. Their skin shimmered like silver fire. Their eyes glowed like suns. They looked elegant, ancient, and powerful. The oldest of them, Councillor Veros, rose from his seat. His voice echoed through the hall. Captain Drew Parker of Earth, Veros. Sa'd, the Irkalla Empire owes you a great debt. You saved our world. You protected our people. You fought with courage no Irkalla warrior has shown in centuries. A wave of whispers filled the hall as Veros continued. In our tradition, such a hero may claim a great reward, land, wealth. He paused, watching Drew with glowing eyes. A wife from our royal clan. The hall went silent. Drew felt the weight of the moment, but he kept his expression neutral. He had heard rumors about Irkalla rewards, but he never believed them. Now the choice stood before him like a bridge over fire. The councillors raised their hands, and a side door opened with a soft hum. A line of Irkalla women stepped out. They were tall, graceful, with smooth glowing skin and shining hair. Their faces looked almost carved, too perfect to be natural. The audience admired them. Some even bowed. Each woman carried herself like a queen. They walked with smooth, flawless motions, standing in a bright line like stars arranged by hand. But Drew's eyes did not stay on them. At the very end of the line stood a woman who did not glow like the others. She was shorter, her skin marked with faint scars. Her hair was tied back in a simple knot, and she stood slightly behind the others, as if trying to hide. She kept her eyes low, almost afraid to look at the hall. She did not look perfect or polished. She looked real. And when her eyes lifted for a brief second, Drew saw something none of the others had: pain, strength, and a silent fire that refused to die. The hall awaited his choice. Captain Drew Parker. Veros said, "Choose any wife you desire." Every Irkalla woman lifted her chin proudly except the last one, who stepped back, expecting nothing. Drew pointed without hesitation. "I choose her." Gasps exploded across the hall. One woman dropped her staff. Another covered her mouth. Councillor Veros froze, stunned. "You choose her?" He asked slowly, as if waiting for Drew to correct himself. "Yes," Drew said. "Her." The woman with the scars jolted slightly, eyes widening. She had no idea why a human hero would choose her. No one ever had. No Irkalla man had even looked twice at her. She had lived in shadows, ignored, whispered about, called dim and unworthy. Now a human soldier had chosen her above all others. The counselors exchanged uneasy looks. The people murmured. Something shifted in the air, something deep, hidden, and dangerous. Vila, the forgotten princess, stepped forward with trembling hands, and Drew felt it. He had just made a choice that would change not only his life, but the future of the Irkala Empire itself. The hall stayed frozen for several long breaths after Drew spoke. The audience could not understand what had just happened. Even the glowing walls of the grand hall seemed to dim, as if the place itself was confused. Vila, the woman Drew had chosen, stood with her hands pressed tightly together. She had prepared herself for another day of being ignored. She had told herself that no one would ever call her name. She had even prayed that the council would not force her into another cruel ceremony where she stood as the unwanted one at the end of the line. But now a human, someone she had never met, had chosen her. Vila's eyes trembled. Her body stiffened. She did not move forward at first. She could not believe the words were real. Counselor Viros cleared his throat. Captain Drew Parker, you are certain? Completely certain, Drew answered. His voice was steady, without hesitation. The crowd whispered louder now. Some faces twisted with confusion, others with insult. A few Irkala men frowned deeply, as if Drew had broken something sacred. The royal women in the line looked at Vila with sharp curiosity, as if seeing her for the first time. Vila finally forced herself to walk forward. Though her steps were small and slow, she had always known she was different. While the other Irkala glowed with natural beauty, her skin carried faint gray marks from the accident she survived as a child. Her eyes did not shine like twin stars. They were softer, darker, almost human-like. Her glow was weak. Her posture was too humble. Her face had lost the perfect symmetry the Irkala valued. To her people, beauty meant strength. Imperfection meant weakness. And weakness had no place in the royal clan. She stopped before Drew, her head lowered. She tried to speak, but her voice shook. I do not understand, she whispered quietly. Drew looked at her gently. I saw something honest in your eyes. Those simple words struck her deeper than any weapon. The counselors shifted uncomfortably. Vela was not meant to be chosen. She was supposed to remain the quiet shadow, the one no one noticed. They had expected Drew to choose one of the perfect royal daughters, to form a political bond, to secure alliances, to show off the glory of Irkala beauty. Instead, he had chosen the woman they considered a flaw in their bloodline. Counselor Neres, a sharp-voiced elder with bright silver eyes, leaned forward. Captain, you must know, she said deliberately. Vela brings no honor. She carries no royal power. She has no influence. If you choose her, you gain nothing. Drew raised one eyebrow. I didn't save your world to gain something. A ripple of shock ran through the hall. Vela looked up slowly, really looked at him. No Irkala man had ever spoken in her defense. And here stood a human, unafraid, speaking with calm truth. She could not read his face. She did not know if he was foolish, brave, or simply too kind for his own good. The council exchanged uneasy glances. Something was wrong in their expression, something Vela noticed, but Drew did not doubt it was fear. Fear of a choice they never expected. Counselor Viros finally spoke again. If this is your decision, Captain Parker, then the council accepts it. His voice held a slight tremor. Vela shall accompany you to her residence on the outer moon, as tradition demands. Drew nodded. Fine by me, but Vela stiffened. My residence, she repeated, her voice fragile. You want him to go there? Viros avoided her eyes. It is the rule. He must see where you live. The audience did not miss the sudden tension between them. A strange murmur filled the hall. Something about this residence was being hidden. Something not meant to be spoken out loud. Vela lowered her gaze again. Her hands tightened around the folds of her dress. She wanted to speak, but fear curled inside her like a cold fist. There was something she needed to tell Drew, something she had kept secret for years, but this was not the place, not with thousands of eyes watching. Not with the council's cold stares warning her to remain silent. 2 royal guards stepped forward. "Princess Vila, Captain Parker, preparations for your departure are ready." "Princess," Drew blinked. The word hit him late. She was not just a royal woman, she was a full princess, born into the highest bloodline. Yet she lived like an outcast. Why? Vela turned to him with a sad, gentle expression. "I will explain when we are alone." Drew nodded. Her voice carried pain, fear, but also strength, and a hidden truth wrapped in shadows. As they walked out of the grand hall together, the Urkala people stared at them like one stares at a storm moving in from the horizon. Drew could feel it. Now choosing Vela had not only surprised the Empire, it had awakened something dangerous. Something the Council desperately wanted to keep buried. The transport ship hummed quietly as it lifted off from the Urkala Grand Hall. Drew Parker sat beside Vela, watching the alien world shrink beneath them. Towering cities glowed in soft colors, winding rivers of light crossing the land like veins. Yet Drew's eyes stayed on Vela. She sat rigidly, hands folded in her lap. Her face was calm, but her eyes flicked nervously to the viewports and back to him. Drew sensed that she carried secrets heavier than any galaxy he had crossed. "You're quiet," he said. "You don't talk much." Vela's lips pressed into a thin line. "I've never had reason to speak," she whispered. Her voice was soft, almost musical, but there was an edge of caution. "Not with anyone." Drew tilted his head. "Even with your own people?" She shook her head. "Especially with my people." Drew studied her. Her glow was faint, barely noticeable compared to other Urkala, but there was something alive in her eyes, something human in her fear and strength. He understood then why he had chosen her not for beauty, but for courage hidden behind humility. The ship passed through a clouded nebula, stars flickering around them like shards of glass. Vela finally broke the silence. "You must know. The Council does not trust me," she said quietly. "They sent me away. They call me the Dim One." Drew frowned. "Dim One?" "Because I do not shine like the others," she said. Her gaze fell to her hands. "And because they think I am weak, unwanted. I survived an accident as a child. Many of them think I should not exist at all." Drew's fingers brushed the side of his pulse rifle. He had seen fear, but this was different. This was a weight born of betrayal, of being discarded by your own people. The ship's hum deepened as they approached a small hidden moon. It was green and rocky, a place almost forgotten by the Empire. Clouds of pale mist drifted over craggy forests. Water glittered like liquid silver in hidden valleys. Vela stood as the landing bay doors opened. She hesitated. Drew noticed her pause at the threshold, a small tremble in her frame. "This is my home," she said, her voice low. "But there is someone you must meet. I hope you will not be afraid." Drew arched an eyebrow. "Someone?" She nodded and stepped aside. "Follow me." They walked across a bridge of polished metal, the mist curling around their ankles. The house itself was modest, built of stone and pale wood, no glowing walls, no polished floors, no grand statues. Just a quiet home tucked into the forest. Drew's soldier instincts tingled. He expected traps, guards, something dangerous. But the place was peaceful. Too peaceful. Vela opened the door slowly. "Come in, please." Inside, the house smelled of wood, earth, and faint spices. Candles flickered on tables. A soft rug covered the floor. And then Drew saw her, a girl no more than 10, with bright eyes that shone strangely in the candlelight. She had hair like dark silk and a small frame, but her gaze was fierce and cautious. She stepped back, clutching a simple toy, hiding behind Vela's legs. "She's yours?" Drew asked, surprised. Vela shook her head. No, she is mine. My daughter, Lyra. Drew blinked. He did not expect that. Not at all. Your daughter, he said slowly, realizing the truth. Why didn't anyone tell me? Vela's lips tightened. Because it was dangerous. The council forbids anyone to know. They would have taken her away. She is half-human. Drew stared at the child, at the flicker of light in her eyes. Half-human. That explained. The strange strength in her gaze, the spark of defiance, the hint of power hiding under fear. Why didn't you say anything? Drew asked gently. I had to protect her, Vela said. Her voice broke slightly. The council would have destroyed her. They hated what she is, what she represents. I survived their hatred. I will not let them touch her. Drew nodded. He felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. Protecting Vela was one thing. But now protecting a child, an innocent, powerful child, added a new mission. A dangerous one. Lyra watched him silently, suspicion in every glance. Drew gave her a small, reassuring smile. I'm not here to hurt you, he said. I'm here to keep you safe. The girl's eyes narrowed, then softened slightly. She did not move closer yet, but she did not retreat either. Vela let out a quiet breath. You must understand. If anyone from the council finds us, they will take her, and they will not hesitate to kill me too. Drew's jaw clenched. Then we make sure no one finds you, ever. For the first time, Vela's body relaxed. She glanced at Lyra, then back at Drew. Something in her eyes shifted trust. Fragile but growing. Outside, the wind whispered through the trees. The moon was quiet, but danger lurked in the shadows. Drew knew this journey was far from over. And whatever awaited them, he had no intention of leaving them unprotected, because this was more than a reward. This was the beginning of a story the galaxy would never forget. The house on the hidden moon was quiet now, but the silence carried more tension than any battlefield Drew had faced. The girl Lyra watched him from behind her mother's legs, her wide eyes filled with fear and suspicion. Drew knelt slowly, keeping his hands visible. I'm not here to hurt you, he said gently. I want to understand you and protect you. Lyra's eyes narrowed. She studied him with a sharp intelligence beyond her years. Drew could feel the quiet power radiating from her small body. She was no ordinary child. Vela finally spoke, her voice low and trembling. I have to tell you the truth, Lyra's father. He was human, like you. He died protecting me and her from the council. Drew's heart skipped a beat. Half human? That explained the spark in her eyes, the unusual energy Drew had sensed when he first looked at her. He realized this child was not only special, she could be dangerous in the wrong hands. Why hide her? Drew asked softly. Vela's hands clenched together. Because the council would have taken her. Or worse, they fear what she could become. Half human, half Irkali. They think she could challenge their power. Drew's gaze shifted to Lyra, who slowly peeked from behind her mother. The girl was curious but cautious. Her hands twitched slightly, almost as if she wanted to move objects without touching them. Drew raised his eyebrow, recognizing the hint of psychic ability, something he had only seen in the legends of the Irkali. You're strong, he said, smiling slightly. And smart, I can see that already. Lyra stiffened, unsure how to respond. Few had ever complimented her. Most adults had only sneered at her, called her weak, and tried to push her aside. Drew's words were strange. Comforting. Vela swallowed hard. I've protected her for 10 years. The council tried to erase our existence, but she survived. I've done everything to keep her safe, even if it meant hiding from everyone we know. Drew nodded slowly. Then we continue that. I'll protect both of you. No one will take her. For a moment, relief passed over Vela's face. She let Lyra step forward, cautiously testing the human. The child's eyes glimmered, studying him in silence. Drew could feel her mind working, measuring him, testing him. She was cautious, clever, and wary of anyone who promised protection. Drew had seen this in soldiers. He knew how to earn trust. "Do you want to tell me your story?" Drew asked, his voice calm. Lyra tilted her head slightly, then looked at her mother. Vela nodded. "I remember." Lyra began, her small voice steady. "I was born during the last attack on the royal city. Humans were here then, but the council wanted me gone. They said I was dangerous, that I was a mistake. My mother hid me in this moon. I've been here ever since. I've learned to survive." Drew listened carefully. He could see her tiny hands clenching. She had grown strong, clever, and cautious, not from training, but necessity. She had endured more than most adults. "And now?" Drew asked gently. "Now what do you want?" Lyra hesitated. Then she looked at him, her eyes sharp and clear. "I want to live. I want to be safe. And I want my mother to be safe too." Drew smiled. "Then we'll make sure of it, together." Vela watched quietly, a mixture of relief and fear in her gaze. She knew the council's reach was long, and the Irkele had spies everywhere. Choosing Drew as her protector was risky, but perhaps, for the first time, she could trust someone outside the Empire. Drew glanced around the house. Small as it was, it held secrets. Drawers with hidden locks, small compartments in the walls, and the faint hum of concealed energy readings. He realized the child's abilities were likely hidden from everyone for a reason. The council feared her. "Tell me," Drew said finally. "What are you hiding, Lyra?" The girl's eyes flickered with energy. "I can feel things, see things, sometimes move objects without touching them. I never told anyone, not even my mother." Drew's pulse quickened. This was not just a hidden child. This was a weapon, a potential savior, and a beacon of hope all in one small body. Vela put her hand on Lyra's shoulder. "She's dangerous if used the wrong way," she whispered. "That's why the council wants her erased. That's why I hid her." Drew stood slowly, his mind racing. Protecting a child had never been part of his duty, not until now. But he understood this was bigger than survival. Lyra represented something the galaxy had never seen: a new force. Half human, half Irkala, and fully alive. Outside, the wind rustled the trees, carrying whispers from the hidden forest. Drew felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. The real fight was just beginning, because in the shadows of the Empire, someone was already watching. Someone who would stop at nothing to take the girl, and Drew Parker was ready to face them. The moon's quiet forest seemed peaceful, but Drew knew better. He had faced enemies that could destroy planets, yet the tension here felt heavier. It was not the stillness outside, it was the hidden danger in Lyra, the child, and in the shadows of the Irkala Empire. Lyra sat on the wooden floor, her legs crossed, eyes glowing faintly. Drew watched her carefully. He had seen humans with psychic potential before, but nothing like this. She could feel things, sense things, move objects without touching them. And yet, the girl was only 10. "Show me," Drew said gently. "Show me what you can do." Lyra hesitated. Her small hands clenched into fists. I'm not sure," she said. Her voice was calm but firm. "I don't want to hurt anyone." Drew smiled. "You won't. Just show me what's inside you." Slowly, the candle on the table flickered and rose into the air. Drew's eyes widened slightly, but he did not react in alarm. He had to study her, understand her abilities. A single mistake could trigger panic. "You control energy," he murmured. "You're strong, Lyra, stronger than you think." The girl's eyes widened. "Stronger than anyone else?" "Maybe," Drew said, "but strength isn't about hurting people. It's about protecting them." Vela watched silently, her hands pressed together. A single tear rolled down her cheek. "I hid her for years," she whispered. "The council would have killed her. Or worse, They would have taken her to train her into a weapon. Drew nodded. Then we make sure that never happens. He stood, moving closer to Lyra. You can trust me. I'll protect you both, no matter what. The child studied him. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, she relaxed. The faint glow in her eyes intensified. She raised her hands slightly, and a small orb of energy formed between her palms. It floated above the floor, spinning, pulsing with light. Drew stepped back slightly, impressed but careful. You're incredible, he said. Do you understand what this means? Lyra tilted her head. I can defend us? Yes, Drew said, and maybe more than that. You could help change things, maybe even stop the council if they try to hurt us. Vila's eyes widened. Stop the council? She whispered. No one could do that. They are too powerful. Drew shook his head. Not no one. Lyra can. But she needs to learn control first. She can't let fear guide her. The girl's orb pulsed, and Drew noticed her small body tremble slightly. It wasn't fear, it was excitement. Power had awakened inside her, and for the first time, she felt she could fight back against the world that had always treated her as weak. Can you lift heavier things? Drew asked, testing her focus. Lyra concentrated. A chair floated into the air, spinning gently, then a table. Drew could see the sweat on her small brow as she held them steady. The air around them seemed charged, humming softly. You see? Drew said, you're not weak. You're not a mistake. You are strong enough to survive anything, even the council. Vila knelt beside her daughter, brushing the hair from her face. You have to promise me, she said, that you'll only use this to protect, never to attack unless you must. They would turn your strength against you if you show it too soon. Lyra nodded slowly. I promise. The wind outside rustled through the forest. Drew could sense it too, a subtle shift, a feeling of eyes watching from far away. They were not alone. Someone in the council already knew Lyra's abilities were awakening. Someone would come for her soon. We need to train, Drew said. You must learn to control your power fully. If they attack, you have to be ready. No mistakes. Vila swallowed hard. Training. Here, on this moon? Yes, Drew said. Firmly, this is your safe place for now. But it will not stay safe forever. The moment the council learns her true power, they will send everything they have. Lyra's eyes flickered, glowing brighter. She was afraid, but she was also determined. Drew could feel it, the child's courage, her fire, her will to survive. And in that moment, he realized something. Lyra was more than just a child. She was a force of nature. Half human, half Irkala, full of potential beyond anyone's imagination. Drew clenched his fists. He would protect her. He would protect Vila. He would face the council himself if he had to. Because in a galaxy that had tried to erase them both, their power and their future was just beginning to awaken, and no one would stop them. The moon was quiet. Too quiet. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying strange sounds that made Drew's instincts tense. He had faced countless enemies, but the feeling in the air told him something was coming. Something deliberate. Vila and Lyra sat in the small living room, practicing controlling the child's power. Candles flickered as Lyra focused, lifting small objects with her mind. Drew's pulse raced. He had warned them that the council would not forget, and now he could sense it. They were coming. A sudden hum echoed in the sky. Drew froze. Outside, shadows moved faster than any natural predator. The ship's sensors would have been useless here. The attackers were using cloaked technology. They're here, Drew whispered. He stepped forward, placing himself between Vila, Lyra, and the door. His pulse rifle was in his hands, ready. Lyra's small body tensed. Who? She asked. Fear trembling in her voice. Council forces, Drew said. They found us. The front door exploded inward with a blast of energy. Smoke and debris filled the room. Drew fired instinctively, taking down 2 armored soldiers. But more were coming, dozens of them, moving with precision and speed. They wore dark armor that glowed faintly, their weapons humming with deadly energy. Vila screamed, stepping in front of Lyra. "Run!" she shouted. Drew grabbed her arm. "No, we fight together." The soldiers advanced, but Lyra raised her hands. Energy sparked around her, forming a protective dome over the room. It shimmered with pale light, pushing the attackers back. Drew's eyes widened. She was stronger than he had imagined. The soldiers paused, clearly surprised. They had expected an ordinary child, weak and defenseless. Instead, they faced a force capable of turning their weapons against them. Drew fought with skill, taking down one soldier after another. Sparks flew as his rifle collided with alien weapons, knocking them aside. Vila helped, using small energy pulses Drew had taught her to repel attackers. But the real power came from Lyra. She lifted herself into the air slightly, concentrating. Objects around the room began to move violently: tables, chairs, even the walls themselves trembled under her will. The soldiers staggered, trying to aim at her, but her energy shield deflected every attack. "Drew," Vila gasped, eyes wide. "They never expected this. They thought we were helpless." Drew nodded grimly. "That's why they came. To erase her before she became dangerous." One soldier managed to break through the shield, firing a blast directly at Lyra. Drew dove in front of her, taking the hit in his shoulder. Pain shot through him, but he did not fall. Lyra's eyes flared, and a sudden wave of energy threw the remaining soldiers across the room. Vila ran to Drew, helping him steady his balance. "We can't stay here," she shouted. "They will come back stronger." "I know," Drew sighed, looking at Lyra. The girl's small form glowed with raw energy, sweat on her brow. "You have to learn to control it now, or we won't survive the next attack." The soldiers retreated, regrouping outside. But Drew knew this was only temporary. The council would not give up. They had sent their best forces, and they would return with more. Lyra had made a mark on their empire, a dangerous mark. Vila knelt beside Lyra, taking her small hands. "I am sorry, my daughter. I should have prepared you sooner." Lyra shook her head. "No, I'm ready now. I can do this." Drew smiled, despite the pain in his shoulder. "Yes, you can. And I will be right here with you. We fight together." Outside, the forest rustled as more cloaked figures approached. Drew looked toward the horizon, calculating, planning. The council had shown their hand. Their betrayal was clear. They had sent assassins disguised as soldiers, pretending to check on US, but their real goal was Lyra. Drew clenched his fists. "They will not take her, not while I live." Vila's eyes softened as she looked at him. "You risked your life for me once. Now for both of us. I don't know what to say." "You don't need to say anything," Drew replied. "Just trust me. We survive. That's enough." Lyra's glow dimmed slightly as she calmed herself, but Drew could see the determination in her eyes. She had tasted power, and she would not let the council take it from her. The moon was quiet again, but only for a moment. Drew knew the next attack would come faster, harder, and without mercy. The council's betrayal was just the beginning, and Drew Parker, the human who had saved worlds before, now faced a new battle, a battle to protect a child who could change the galaxy. Because this time, failure was not an option. The transport ship cut through the cold vacuum of space, carrying Drew, Vila, and Lyra back to the royal world. Drew's shoulder still throbbed from the last attack, but his mind was sharp. The council had tried to erase them, tried to destroy the child, and now it was time to show the Empire the truth. Vila sat beside Lyra, her hands shaking slightly as she brushed her daughter's hair. Lyra looked at Drew, eyes glowing softly, but calm now. The battle had awakened her abilities, and she understood something Drew knew well. Power alone meant nothing without control, courage, and purpose. "Are you ready for this?" Drew asked. Vila nodded, but her lips trembled. "I have no choice. The council will not stop, and the people must know." "Then we show them," Drew said. "We show them the truth." The ship landed on the royal world with a quiet thrum. Citizens gathered outside the palace, murmuring in confusion at the unusual arrival. Drew noticed the guards whispering nervously among themselves. The word of Vila and Lyra's survival had already spread. Some were curious. Others, loyal to the council, scowled. Inside the grand hall, the council sat with stiff expressions. Varos, Neres, and the others waited, eyes glowing with controlled fury. They had expected Drew to bring Vila quietly, hoping to intimidate her into submission. They had not expected a child with power or a human who would stand for both mother and daughter. Drew stepped forward, his stance steady. Lyra followed, glowing faintly but walking with confidence. Vila's head was held high. Together they filled the hall with presence, and the whispers grew louder. "People of the Irkala," Drew began, his voice calm but firm, echoing through the hall. "You sent your soldiers to erase this child. You tried to destroy a mother. For hiding her daughter, you called her weak. You called her ugly. And all the while, you ignored the real threat to your world. Fear, cruelty, and lies." Gasps filled the hall. Counselors stiffened, exchanging worried glances. Drew continued, "This child Lyra is not weak. She is not a mistake. She is strong, powerful, and a symbol of what the Irkali Empire could be. Half human, half Irkala, she represents the courage to survive when the world turns against you." Lyra stepped forward, her glow growing stronger. She raised her hands slightly, and a pulse of soft energy rippled through the room. The walls shimmered, and the guards stepped back, startled. The council looked alarmed. "She survived your hatred," Drew said. "She survived your cruelty, and now she will stand with us. We will no longer hide in the shadows. The Empire will see the truth." Vela stepped forward, holding her daughter's hand. "I have been punished for 10 years, she said, voice clear. "I was forced to live as if I did not exist. But now the people will see the real story. The council's lies cannot hide the truth anymore." The crowd began to murmur louder. Some nodded, some cried quietly. The truth was sinking in. The ugly princess was not weak. The child was not dangerous. She was extraordinary. Counselor Vero stood, voice trembling slightly. "Captain Drew Parker, Princess Vela." "We did not expect," Drew interrupted. "You feared the future. You feared change. But the people are not afraid. They see what is real. They see courage, honesty, and strength." A wave of energy suddenly pulsed from Lyra, and the glow in her eyes intensified. It was not an attack, it was a display, a message. She was alive, powerful, and free. The audience gasped in awe. The council had no choice. Their lies were exposed. Their fear was transparent. Slowly, they stepped down, murmuring weakly. The people, inspired, began to cheer. Support rose for Vila and Lyra. A new order was forming, one born of truth, not deception. Drew watched, a small smile forming. He had chosen the woman the Empire had discarded. He had protected the child they had tried to destroy. And together, they had changed everything. Vila turned to Drew, eyes shining. "You chose me when no one else would. You saw something no one else could." "You always had it inside," Drew said. "I just recognized it." Lyra reached up and took Drew's hand. "We are a family," she said, "and together we can face anything." The hall, once filled with whispers of fear and doubt, now echoed with hope and awe. The future of the Irkala Empire had shifted, and it all began with a human who chose the one they called ugly a mother who hid her daughter, and a child who could change the galaxy. As the sun rose over the royal city, its light reflected in the eyes of Drew, Vela, and Lyra. They stood together, ready to face the universe, not as victims or outcasts, but as heroes. And for the first time in a long while, the Empire saw what real courage looked like: ordinary choices creating extraordinary futures.